The Bears haven't made any indication that they're bringing back running back D'Onta Foreman, who, in my opinion, they did not utilize well last year. The 27-year-old running back had a decent year on paper for the Chicago Bears, especially for the time and opportunities that he had. But that's only because he barely played. Whether there was healthy scratches, thanks a lot, Luke Getsy, or an injury that he had in the middle of the season. When he did play, though, he had 109 touches for 425 yards, a 3.9 yard per carry average, and 4 rushing touchdowns. He only played in 9 total games, starting 8 of them. And let's just double those stats, let's say, if they used him every game improperly, and he would have been a pretty good RB1 because he was playing RB3 most of the season. But with not bringing him back, the Chicago Bears have $57.7 million in cap, 9th out of all the teams in the NFL at the moment before the Bills went on their big spree of letting everyone go. Shout out to Mitch Trubisky getting a job again in Buffalo. And that's before putting money aside for rookies. So really, you're at about $43.7 million. Along with that, the Chicago Bears only have 5 picks at the moment. Yes, one of them being the number 1 overall pick and the number 9. Likely one of them will be traded back to get a few more picks. And there's the opportunity that they either trade Justin Fields, they trade the number 1 and get a haul, or they even trade the number 9. But Chicago is going to have to dip heavy into free agency to address a lot of key areas of need, a third running back being one of them, no matter what their plan is. Luckily for the Bears, this free agent class is loaded, just like this draft class, and there are a ton of solid options in free agency they can bring in. One that they're now linked to, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs, according to Jason Mckie of ESPN Chicago. There is no indication that he's going back to the Raiders. He went back on a 1-year contract last year, and Chicago really could be a possibility as his next home, which I would be pretty excited about. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm going to break down Josh Jacobs, what he did with the Raiders the last few seasons, and what he could bring to Chicago. And before I begin today's show, if you'd be happy with Josh Jacobs coming to the Chicago Bears and being our new running back 1 or 2, I think Hebert would end up being running back 2. Make sure you hit that like button on this video to show your support, along with commenting your thoughts if you want Josh Jacobs to be the guy they bring in from free agency as a running back, or if there's another free agent running back that you'd be happy about the Bears bringing in. I'm happy to do a breakdown on them. Or if you're just excited about this offseason and what's about to come next week starting March 13th, write a bear down in the comment section below to show your support. So let's jump into it. And again, let's say the cap is at 43.7. You got to put about $14 million aside for your rookies, taken away from that 57.7. So we need to be smart here with our money. So Josh Jacobs, running back, only 26 years old, has been the Raiders running back since 2019. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. He actually came in second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting back in 2019 and was 8th back in 2022 for Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Jacob stands at 5'10", weighs 223 pounds, and is only 26 years old, so he still has a ton of gas left in the tank. And even being 223 pounds, he's one fast, elusive running back. Very awesome to watch on the field, and I think he'd be fantastic in this new offense that we're bringing into the Chicago Bears. And he showed it in 2023. In 2023 for the Raiders, he missed 4 games due to injury, so he played in 13, but had 233 touches for 805 rushing yards. So even missing 4 games, he almost had 1,000 yards rushing with a 3.5 yard per carry average and 6 rushing touchdowns. Not only that, but he had 296 receiving yards and 8 yard per catch average, which is very good for a running back, almost getting a first down every time. So he can do it all out of the backfield. But 2022 is the year that a lot of people remember, and why the Raiders brought him back and were very, very, very serious about doing that, because in 2022 he played in all 17 games with really not as much offensive line help. I mean, he had a little bit more than he had last year, but he had over 1,600 rushing yards, a 4.9 yard per carry average, and 12 rushing touchdowns, along with 400 receiving yards, a 7.5 yard per catch average. So totaling over 2,000 yards of offense for the Raiders in 2022. Not only that, but his first 2 seasons were also 1,000-yard seasons. So he's proven that he can get yards on the ground, something that the Chicago Bears are always looking to get. And he had no line with the Raiders in in 2022 or 2023 and still had very good years, was under a ton of pressure, and still got 800 plus yards last year, which I think is super impressive. He fills the need of bringing in a young veteran running back that could be a huge asset for Chicago for years to come. He's effective on both run and pass plays, and on top of it, he can block, which is something that the Chicago Bears need to have. It seems like at all times, it's something that they're looking for in all running backs. Khalil Hebert, just unfortunately, that's just not his specialty, which that's totally okay. Completely respect that. But overall, a very good asset that Chicago could bring in. So the big, why is he linked? Well, he was actually linked to the Bears last year. The Bears were very into pursuing him last season, kind of like new offensive guard and center Ryan Bates from the Buffalo Bills. Poles is keeping his eye on the guys he's looked at before, saw how they did, and saw that they were still turning up numbers. Bears need another running back in that room because they only have 2 at the moment to stick in that top 3 rushing status over the league over the last couple of seasons. And he's still young and still has it in him. And he's projected to get a 2-year, $20 million contract. So about $10 million a year. His guaranteed, according to Bleacher Nation, is about $14 million. So, that is a lot of money. And it's a lot of money overall for a running back. Running backs are easy to get through the draft, cheap on rookie contracts, but the Bears don't have a lot of picks at the moment, which is why I want the Bears to get more picks, whether that be trading Justin Fields, trading back to 1, or trading back to 9. The Bears have such an opportunity to build this offense through the draft, but if they bring in Josh Jacobs, great. And after that, the Bears would still have $33.7 million in cap. They might be able to go out and get one more big name free agent, but there's a lot of holes to still fill on this team. So if they bring in Josh Jacobs, they better have a good plan for the draft, whether that be for defensive tackle, edge, offensive line, anything along those, and safety, anything along those lines. And also, there's still guys out in the league like Darrington Evans, who's been on this team before, who plays a lot like Josh Jacobs and just has to be utilized correctly as well. He wasn't utilized very well when he was in Chicago, in my opinion, but it's the same kind of player for a lot less money. And there are other running backs available, but Josh Jacobs is a fantastic addition if the Chicago Bears do bring him in. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Would you want Josh Jacobs to come in? Would you want another free agent running back to come in? Or do you want the Bears to go through the draft? Put your comments in the comment section below, guys. As always, I really appreciate hearing from you. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We are less than 100 away from 14,000 subscribers. Our goal is to get that by March 13th, the start of free agency. Please help us get there if you haven't already. But with that, thank you as always for tuning in this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Dick Brody, and as always, bear down, baby.